Good morning. Happy Wednesday. I took a little break from the telephones and I came out and enjoying this nice sunny weather. It's chilly, but it's nice. I had a agent call me yesterday, and this agent basically got a TCPA complaint, and he asked me how to handle it. And for those of you guys that don't know, in the year of 2024, I grossed over six figures in 1 year settling TCPA and DNC violations with companies ranging from Medicare, health insurance, final expense, alarm systems. And the crazy part is that, except for one of the violations that I got in 2024, all of them settled except for one, and it was a total of seven. Seven organizations that, blowing up my phone every day, harassing me at all kinds of hours. And six of them settled with me in my favor. And those six did not go to court. We settled within a week or two of me sending them the complaint as well as the demand for compensation, which is crazy. So if you're watching this video, one, I'm not an attorney. All of these cases that I've won, I've done it myself in pro se litigator, and I've had success. I know a lot of my friends that are attorneys, they're killing it. And it's just amazing for me to see, just how many people are not tuned into this compliance. So the question is, how do you handle it? What happens? Well, let me give you a quick scenario. It all starts with the type of leads that you purchase. That's like the number one way you're going to catch one of these violations. Because if you're buying leads that are not TCPA compliant, DNC scrubbed, then you're going to face yourself with some problems. So let's say, for example, you went and purchased a lead, and now you receive a letter or you get a phone call. The letter will tell you exactly, the date that you violated their rights, the phone number, and as long as it's over 2 times that you called that person or text them, then you're pretty much in a position of no winning because you called. And one of the things that they do is that they ask you for proof, typically in that first demand letter, of how you got their info. And that's where most insurance agents crumble, because they go back to the people that they bought the leads from. Turns out the company cold called that person and the phone number was on the do not call registry, and now you got a complaint. Or, they called in on a website, supposedly, but they were actually cold called by the center and fabricated an opt-in. Now you got some issues. Again, this happens every single day to agents. And let me tell you something. It doesn't matter if you're a door-to-door agent. The bottom line, if you're picking up the phone to set up appointments, you're in the same category. So again, they'll send you a letter, they'll give you a call, but in most cases, if you called them over 2 times and you didn't have the right opt-in or the permission, now you're going to have to settle with them or they're going to take you to court. Now, if you are an LLC, you're going to have to hire an attorney. There's no defending yourself. If you're an independent agent or working as a, DBA, then you can represent yourself. But either way, it's going to be very expensive. Most of these consumer attorneys are charging like $25,000, $50,000 retainers to, defend you in these type of situations. Think about it: $25,000 to $50,000 for a batch of leads that maybe you paid $1,000 and you called that person 20 times. It adds up because every violation is $500. So $500, and if they can prove negligence, it can go to $1,500, and then it just starts adding up based on how many times you called. So the leads is what's going to get you in trouble. So how do you handle it? Well, if you discover that your lead source was, illegal, then the best option is to settle with that person. And, whether you make a payment plan or, you offer a lump sum, that's going to be something you do. But in most cases, when people are getting these notices, chances are that the agent was liable simply because they're buying leads. They're just getting them in trouble. So, talking about leads, what do I recommend? Well, in terms of leads, the best option is anything that is customer initiated. So if a client sees a Facebook page, a TV ad, and they initiate it, customer initiated inbounds, those are the best because they're in real time, they initiated the call, and chances are you're not going to be dealing with a litigator. So that'd be option one. They're a little bit more money, but you're going to save the drama and the stress. The second option is the leads that you have to call back. If they're Facebook, YouTube, TV, hey, that's great. But you just need to make sure that when you're calling them back, that you're following the telemarketing rules. You're calling within the hours that are permitted to call. And then after 90 days, you got to check and see if that lead is on the DNC. And I have a video on that talks exactly that, how we only have 90 days permission to call back on those leads. Those leads, the only risk is if you call them after 90 days, or if they ask you to stop calling and you keep calling. And then the third risk is always going to be if you're buying, let's say, cold call transfers that are very, very popular because they're super, super cheap. Typically, I would say over 90% of the volume that comes in that category is coming overseas. And the biggest problem you have with that, okay, because you want to avoid these lawsuits, the biggest problem you're going to have with those type of leads is that most of those call centers are, one, not registered as valid telemarketing companies. So they're using DNC mechanisms that are not accurate. So guess what's happening when they're cold calling? They're getting DNC violations. Ouch. And those can cost up to $50,000 per. And every time you have one of those, it triggers a TCPA violation automatically. Now, let's talk about the dialer. Most of these centers are using dialing systems that go against what TCPA considers to be an auto dialer. So they're cold calling people on dialers that are categorized to be illegal, not certified. And I think the biggest one is anytime you have these call centers that are cold calling and they say they're calling on fresh opted on data and the lead is super cheap and the transfer is super cheap, chances are that lead is being fabricated. That's right. Some of these centers, as they cold call people, they will fabricate with a VPN that person's web form on their website, so that way they could say that the person opted in, but when they look at the latitude and longitude, they discover that wasn't the case. Again, you definitely don't want to be dealing with these kind of issues